I never thought I'd be the kind of neighbor who had the cops show up at my front door because some entitled family couldn't take no for an answer. But that's exactly what happened, because I refused to sell my late aunt's lake cabin to a spoiled kid and his power-hungry mom. And believe me, that police visit, that was just the beginning. You won't believe how far they went or how far I had to go to fight back. Act 1. The conflict begins. So, let me rewind. My name's Clark Thomas Harris. I'm 38, and for the last 3 years I've been living quietly at the lake cabin I inherited from my aunt. It's peaceful, it's private, and it's the one place in the world that feels truly mine. I thought this community would be the escape I needed. Boy, was I wrong. Because one Monday morning, way too early, I open my door and find Jake Evans, this 20-something kid with manic energy dragging a trailer full of camera gear. He's waving his arms, talking a mile a minute about some treasure-hunting YouTube series he's trying to film. "Sir, you don't understand," he blurts out, practically bouncing on his heels. "Your dock is perfect. I need deep water rights for my equipment, and your place is the only property on this lake that has it." I try to let him down easy. I tell him, "Look, kid, this cabin's not for sale. It's sentimental. It's family." But the second I say no, his whole vibe shifts. His hands start shaking. His words speed up. He says he's already spent 25 grand on equipment, that he signed contracts that if he can't deliver, he's finished. And then he drops a line that makes my stomach turn. The people I owe money to aren't the type who accept excuses. You ever hear someone say something that makes all your instincts scream, "Yeah"? That was the moment. And then right on cue, his mother shows up. Laura Evans, HOA President ex-attorney. The walking definition of Karen with power. She marches up my driveway in a designer suit, shakes my hand with a fake smile, and introduces herself like she's announcing a court verdict. "Mr. Harris, I'm president of the Lake Community HOA. I hear you've been less than cooperative. That's unfortunate. Good neighbors always find ways to work things out." Translation: "Sell your cabin or I'll bury you in violations and legal trouble." I stood there jaw tight, pretending to sip coffee while every nerve in my body screamed that this woman wasn't bluffing. I've seen people like her before, the kind who think rules are weapons and neighbors are pawns. And the crazy part: when Jake started listing the names of the people he owed money to, I recognized them, not just as loan sharks, as bombed targets in an ongoing federal investigation I was quietly working on from this very cabin. Yeah, they had no idea the antisocial tech consultant living next door was actually a federal agent. Act 2. Escalation and Turning Point. From that day on, the Evans family turned my life into a circus. Laura parked outside my cabin at 7 a.m. with tax records and legal forms spread across her dashboard, digging into every scrap of public info about me. Jake lurked around at night, filming through my windows, crawling through bushes like a wounded deer. He even flew a drone over my property. And then get this, Laura filed a police report. Claimed I stole her son's phone when in reality he dropped it while trespassing. So Sheriff Mike Stone knocks on my door, embarrassed but obligated to investigate. Imagine how that feels, neighbors watching cops in your driveway, all because your HOA president spins lies better than a Vegas dealer. That night I sat on my porch staring at the lake, and I'll admit it, I thought about giving in. Selling the cabin, disappearing, letting them win. I actually asked myself, am I the problem here? Maybe I'm too stubborn. Maybe I'm the one dragging this out. But then, I unlocked Jake's phone. The kid had weeks of surveillance footage, boats, vehicles, even federal license plates. And his text messages, pure gold. Debt threats, cash transfers, names that lined up perfectly with the criminal network I'd been tracking for months. Suddenly, this wasn't just harassment. This was a chance. Their harassment campaign had accidentally handed me evidence investigators had been dying for. And that's when Frank stepped in. Frank Torres, my neighbor, the quiet, retired mechanic with suspiciously good timing. He'd been watching Jake sabotage neighbors' boats, loosening dock bolts, trying to frame me. And Frank documented everything, with the kind of precision only someone with a law enforcement background could manage. Turns out Frank wasn't just a mechanic. He was Coast Guard Investigative Service undercover. My ally had been living across the lake this whole time. The Evans family thought they were breaking me down. What they really did was build the case against themselves. Act 3. The climax and justice. But things didn't just stop there. Laura doubled down. She filed county complaints about my dock, sent inspectors to my property, and tried to paint me as a public safety hazard. Jake escalated to full sabotage, messing with boat motors, nearly causing accidents. And then came the moment I'll never forget. 2 men showed up at the Evans driveway, broad daylight guns visible under their jackets. They shoved Jake against a car, told Laura she had 2 hours to produce $50,000 or she'd be identifying her son's body at the morgue. I was in my kitchen when I heard the shouting. I looked out the window and my blood ran cold. This wasn't neighbor drama anymore. This was a hostage situation. Laura was begging frantic, "Please just give me more time. Thomas has resources, I can make him help us." She was literally trying to drag me into their nightmare while her son had a gun to his head. And in that moment, I had a choice: stay hidden, protect the investigation, or step in and save a life. I called my team. Within minutes, black SUVs rolled in federal tactical gear, flashing. My cover was blown, but it didn't matter. Lives mattered more. FBI, drop your weapons. The takedown was fast, precise, overwhelming. Jake collapsed into custody sobbing, realizing he'd been stalking a federal agent all along. Laura. She went pale as a ghost. She finally understood the entire time she'd been filing fake reports and plotting legal schemes, she'd been obstructing a federal investigation. The neighborhood stared in shock. Some filmed, some cried, some just whispered. So that's who Thomas really is. And me, I stood on my porch, heart still pounding, watching Laura Evans, the HOA president who thought she could ruin me with paperwork, get handcuffed and led away. That was the moment the power shifted. Closing note. You want to know what I took from all this? Simple. Bullies can only push you until you decide to push back.